Breaking news. Why is the world silent over the plight of Biafrans? David Koller fumes. David Koller is an investigative journalist, an American based in the US. He's asking a pertinent question here. So let's see what he has to say. An American investigative journalist has taken to his Twitter to express his displeasure over the less attention given to the plight of Biafrans by the world leaders, especially the Americans, the United Kingdoms, and the Canadians and Australians. Right? Recall that Nnamdi Kanu, IPOB leader, was recently kidnapped in Kenya, tortured for 8 days before his extraordinary rendition back to Nigeria. Reacting, David Koller calls for the release of Nnamdi Kanu and also the freedom of Biafrans because it is long overdue. Why doesn't anyone care about Biafra? People are being slaughtered, and because the media and the left cannot blame Israel or the Jews, nobody is talking about it. The indigenous people of Biafra deserve freedom and need your support. Give it to them. David Collier is the person talking here, an American investigative journalist. He's asking a pertinent question. Why is everybody keeping quiet? Why is it that nobody cares about the Biafrans? Why is it that, 100 years after amalgamation, which international law says 100 years, after setting amalgamation, the individuals can decide to go their separate ways again. And that 100 years concluded in 2014, from 1914 to 2014. And since then, Biafra has been agitating for their freedom, but nobody is talking about it. All right? United Kingdom that actually gave us independence, who is supposed to actually spearhead this referendum and secession, has kept quiet because it's on record that the British people have proven to the outsiders that they own the country, that they should never allow the country to divide, because if they allow it to divide, they will suffer, because obviously they are less productive. All right? So because of that, the Fulanis and entire northern Nigeria don't want this breakup. But again, with the amount of bloodshed that is taking place in the southeast because of this Biafra thing, the Americans have refused to say anything. The British have refused to say anything. Even when they meet, even when they have United Nations General Assembly, they don't talk about Biafra there. They kept quiet, probably because they're benefiting from the problem that is happening in Nigeria. And that is a silent support to the Northerners, to the Hausas, and to the Fulanis to continue to hold Nigeria together. It is very, very bad. So the kind of innocent blood that is being shed in Nigeria, the British and America will share from the cost coming from such ethnic cleansing that is taking place in Nigeria. Now, with all the insecurity taking place in the north, the Hausas and the Fulanis have failed to declare the Boko Haram, the ISWAP, as terrorists in the north. They have failed to declare the Fulani herdsmen killing people in their farmland as terrorists in the north. But they were quick to declare IPOB and Biafra as terrorists. And they were quick to arrest Nnamdi Kanu, to kill his family members, to kill people in his village, to kill members of his household, and locked him up, and very quick to put terrorism charges on him. And now all the courts have declared him innocent and declared that he should be discharged and acquitted. But Malami, the Attorney General of the Federation, with the support of the federal government, had refused to release Nnamdi Kanu, holding him hostage under the custody of the DSS against his will and against the will of Biafrans. Now, an American is asking the entire world leaders a pertinent question here. Why are you all keeping quiet? Why is nobody talking about it? All right? Now, Nnamdi Kanu traveled all the way from UK to Kenya with a British passport as a British citizen. Kenyan government allowed Nigerian government to trap Nnamdi Kanu there, tortured him for 8 days, and then bringing him back to Nigeria to level terrorism charges against him for no just cause. Now, British has failed to react that somebody that traveled from England to Kenya as a British citizen with British passport has been kidnapped and taken away by another government, and still the British have failed to say anything about it up till now. That is hypocrisy of the highest order. That is hypocrisy of the highest order. An American, an ordinary American, a journalist, all right, is asking everybody the question now. Both the British government and American government, why are they keeping quiet? They are actually the real leaders of United Nations. Why are they keeping quiet? Who you are, the human rights group, all right, of the United Nations, have actually asked all Nigerian government to release Nnamdi Kanu, but United Nations Governing Council has refused to say something about it. And the United Nations Governing Council is actually under the leadership of both the British, the American, the French, the Australian, and the Russians, the Soviets, and the Asia. All right. Rather, the British and Americans are there keeping quiet while China is recolonizing Nigeria again. All right. So at the end of the day, they are going to turn Nigeria to a battlefield. All right. The same way they did pre-colonial stage, where they were sharing Nigeria into parcels, sharing Africa into parcels among themselves, the Portuguese, the French, the British, the Americans, and all of them. Now, the Chinese has come to continue doing that, and still nobody is talking. Now, Nnamdi Kanu is held because he's telling them that what is happening in Nigeria is bad. The government of the Fulanis is bad. What the other Hausas are doing, they claim that they own Nigeria. Now, nobody is saying anything. Rather, they see how people are slaughtered in the southeast. The same world leaders are quiet. Nobody is saying anything. So the hypocrisy of the world leaders is too much, especially on African nations, and particularly in Nigeria, which is the largest country in Africa and about the largest black nation in the world. And they know that the day it will burst in Nigeria, the number of refugees that Nigeria will generate will overrun Africa and the rest of the world. I keep telling them that. If they think that it is okay now, by the time it will get to a point where people can't contain it anymore and there's an uncontrollable outburst, the number of refugees that will come out of Nigeria will overrun other African nations, and will continue to give problem, and will begin to give problem to UK, US, and Canada. Let them get ready for the kind of asylum that they had never seen in history. Because if they allow Nigeria to get to a breaking point, that is what will come out of it. That will be the side effect for them. So they kept quiet, and they said they are world leaders. They are not saying anything. They are not doing anything, and they keep on suffering Nnamdi Kanu. They keep on killing Igbo people, and the world leaders are looking, and they are here tapping Nigerian oil. The Chinese are here now taking over manufacturing and construction in Nigeria. The Americans are here taking our oil, and then the British are here extracting the talent from Nigeria into the UK. All right. That they've turned Nigeria to their farmland. The United Nations deliberately turned Nigeria to their farmland, and so they like what is happening in Nigeria, so that they will continue to reap from the failures and the mayhems going on in Nigeria. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that the Americans, the British, the entire world leaders are now they are hearing an American, a typical journalist in America, asking a pertinent question. Still, they won't do anything about it. They won't do anything about it. We understand that Nigeria is a sovereign nation, but at the same time, as a world political leader and supervising nation in the Committee of Nations, Americans and the British and the French should say something about this Biafra agitation and allow them and conduct a constructive referendum and allow them to have their country. Now, the Oduduwa, the Yoruba, are now campaigning for the Yoruba nation as well. So what are you going to do about it? So the time will come when every ethnic group in Nigeria will start agitating for secession, and it will be uncontrollable at a point, and there's nothing anybody will do about it until the needful is done. So if you don't want Nigeria to divide, if you don't want the the Biafrans to have their own nation, then, try to organize a government of inclusion that puts everybody's interest at heart, not the kind of selfish interest we have among politicians of today, ethnocentric politicians in Nigeria, selfish politicians stealing Nigerian wealth. They say Nigeria is broke, but politicians are richer than Nigeria. Governors are richer than the country, than their state. Ministers are richer than the country. Senators and House of Rep members are richer than the country, sharing Nigerian cake over there at Aso Rock, while the common Nigerian continue to suffer. And these are the things Kano is saying. These are the crimes of Kano, voicing out the injustice going on in Nigeria. They don't want him to say it. He has a large mouth. He knows too much. He's talking too much. So they want to annihilate him. They want to keep him quiet. They want to lock him up. And that is why the Malami refused to allow Kano to be released according to the court judgment. Because if he comes out now, he is going to say a lot that will affect the election outcome. So they are scared. And I'm sure they're keeping him to release him probably after election. The judge determined to keep him there so that they can have the election done peacefully and rig it the way they want to rig it without anybody talking. Because Kano is the only threat they have. Kano is the only person that will say it the way it is, authoritatively. But I know that one day Kano will come out and justice will prevail. Right? So this is what this journalist is saying, and the whole world leaders, especially America, British, and the French, need to answer this question. The United Nations Governing Council and Security Council need to answer this question before it gets too late. So thank you for listening, and let's continue to propagate this question until we get answers on behalf of the Biafrans.